welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I'm going to be going ahead and sharing my experience with my first pregnancy. This is going to be in a podcast style format, and it is going to be a little bit of a longer one. If you notice me looking off to my right, I'm going to be just referencing some notes that I had created on a document. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. So as I just stated before, this was my first pregnancy, so I personally don't have any experience to compare it to. So when I look back and analyze my pregnancy as a whole, I have to say that I felt pretty good overall, considering I was under a fair amount of stress. So let me paint that picture really quick. We were living tiny in our converted school bus. We were dealing with cooling issues because we were in the middle of the Sonoran Desert in triple-digit heat on a daily for nearly 6 months, all of which I was pregnant. We were having a difficult time keeping it cool in our living conditions. Once we figured out how to keep the schoolie that we were living in cool in that arid climate, it was finally a huge relief. However, we were extremely isolated due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which also led to overwhelming loneliness and fear-induced stress and anxiety. It was definitely mentally challenging and a huge hurdle to overcome the stress. The coping that my husband and I began was working on the things that we could control, which happened to be starting a family, eating healthy, moving our bodies through exercise, journaling, and starting a mindful practice, which for us is meditation and yoga. These tools were extremely beneficial to our overall well-being. But before I get too ahead of myself and veer too far off topic, we'll go back to the day that we decided we were ready to start a family and the beautiful moments we shared as the pregnancy progressed. I had gotten back to Tucson from a trip back to our hometown. We needed a refresh and wanted to see our friends and family before the pandemic escalated any further. And we were laying together one day on the raised queen bed at our schoolie, and we were laying directly in front of our swamp cooler that we had just installed. And as we were laying there with our 4 furbs at our feet, we were all lying to just cool down and get out of the sun. And I had my head leaning on Trevor's shoulder, and we were sitting in silence when he randomly spoke the words, "I think I'm ready." Even though my intuition knew exactly what he meant, when he spoke those words, I replied, "Ready for what?" Our eyes met, and he said, "I'm ready to start a family." I sat in silence and gave myself a moment to feel those words and replay a dream that I had had a year to 2 years previously after my mom passed on. It was of me watching a little girl with wild wavy hair and dirt-covered bare feet playing and chasing my dogs Hendrix and Stevie and a couple of our future chickens. And I had called to her, and her name was Poppy. And I looked back at him and I said, "I'm ready too." I just want to put a trigger warning ahead with what I'm about to say. I know that it's not easy for some women to get pregnant right away. I know that I am truly blessed to have the body and fertility health that I do, and I will never for a second take that for granted. So anyone who may tune into this and may get triggered when discussing fertility, please go ahead and skip forward to the timestamp that I provide at the bottom of my screen. And then I will also provide that same timestamp in the description of this video. So I just want to have a warning out there. If you do feel triggered or fertility is an emotional topic for you, please go ahead and skip to this time. We made love without any form of contraceptive a few times in the days succeeding that conversation. I went ahead and I downloaded a free ovulation app to inform myself of where my body was at in my menstrual cycle, realizing that I had just rounded out the week of peak ovulation. I had a feeling, and I knew deep down that we had just created our baby. After a couple weeks anticipating every single day being like, I think I'm pregnant. I was due for my period and it didn't come. I was very regular on my menstrual cycle. I hadn't been on birth control in over a decade, and I had a very regular menstrual cycle, so I knew that was odd. I knew it deep in my heart that I was pregnant. We went to our closest Walgreens, purchased a 2-pack digital pregnancy test, middle of the pandemic, mind you. The woman who helped guide us to the test had an energy to her that was very comfortable and very maternal. And even though it was just a brief moment in time with her, I couldn't see her full face under her mask. Her presence was super uplifting, and her excitement for us was very enduring, and it actually helped curb the nervousness that I was feeling, and I began to get really excited. So I'm gonna go ahead and insert a clip now of us taking the first test.
Alrighty, so we're about to take our very first pregnancy test and see if I'm pregnant. I'm gonna feel really stupid if I'm not, but part of me thinks I am, so.
I already peed, so I can't take it.
Okay.
Take the first test. So we did so immediately after getting home. We ended up getting an extremely faint second line. So I decided to read the instructions and waited to take the second test the following morning.
So
Yeah,
Trevor and I just found something out this morning that is very, very, very big news. I don't know if it's, you see what it says.
Semester was actually the hardest for me. I had a really difficult time with feeling super drained, so nauseous, tired, had zero energy, and I just had an overall hard time accepting the fact that I needed to just rest and relax, since that first trimester tends to be, the most kind of scary, to be honest, because you're like, you want the pregnancy to just stick. Like I had mentioned previously, we were having a really challenging time keeping our living space cool. You can't use just an air conditioning unit alone in a hot and arid climate. You use what you call a swamp cooler, which is a cooling unit that you add water to in hopes to create humidity that will linger in the air and allow that cold temperature to hold on and stay in your environment. And with ours in particular, we later learned that we had broken the float valve during install on accident. So what that did is it would work, but we would have to go out and refill the unit every 30 minutes in order for it to maintain the cool temperature. Otherwise, it would just be blowing the air from outside, which was hot. And not to complain too much, but it was an absolute nightmare. Just as you're starting to cool down, you'd have to get right back up and go out and wait in the triple digit heat for it to fill back up, and then turn off the water pressure and go back inside so you wouldn't be wasting water. And that was every 30 minutes. So, you know, it starts to get really hot during the day in Tucson around like 10, and it doesn't cool down until that sun goes down. So every 30 minutes it was a lot. It was a lot to deal with, especially with us having our 4 pets. It was really scary for us to be gone for more than, an hour at a time, because we didn't want them to be overheating and have heat exhaustion. And looking back, a lot of that first trimester was probably a lot of heat exhaustion for me. But yeah, anyways, to get off of that. So we decided to pack up and go visit our friends who live near the coast of Southern California for a weekend. And upon return, we had found out that we were both put on leave at our jobs due to the pandemic. So we decided to pack everything right back up again, and with all of our pets, and we rounded out the end of the first trimester with a road trip. We did our best to be mindful of the pandemic that we were amongst. We kept to ourselves and avoided cities and crowds, and we were camping the entire time. And when we go camping, we try to find more isolated campsites anyways, because we just enjoy being just with ourselves and by ourselves, especially with our pets. So yeah, we weren't really interacting with people during that time. And I'm so thankful for those trips, because that was kind of like our last trip as a couple before our baby came. So it's kind of like a baby moon. Hear your baby's heartbeat for the first time is absolute exhilaration. Having the realization that there's more than just a cluster of cells gathering together in your womb is insane. There's tiny organs developing and preparing to one day sustain this tiny little fetus. It is magical in every aspect of the word. And that moment was so beautiful.
That's it. Whoa, that really does make you emotional. That's crazy.
Trimester took a turn for the better. I I felt so much greater and was starting to come out of some negative thought cycles that I had been in for a while, even before pregnancy. Everything started falling into place for me. It was still extremely hot in Arizona, but we were able to fix the cooling issue by fixing that float valve. And it was a night and day difference in our living environment. I started to look pregnant during my second trimester. My bump was finally making an appearance. I felt beautiful. I was glowing. I was jubilant. I was itching to go shopping and look for cute little outfits and developmental toys and activities. Trevor and I, we were talking about our future, how we wanted to parent, what was important for us to teach our child, we were breaking bad habits and trying to evolve as individuals and as a couple. We started doing mini projects around the house to keep ourselves busy. We really got hit with the nesting during second trimester. And let's see. And we even started a YouTube channel. It's called Mel and Trev. It was just such a weird time, 2020 as a whole. For me, it was an amazing year. I was able to get vulnerable with myself. We were forced to kind of be intimate with ourselves and ask ourselves, is this what we want to do with our lives? Like, what is it, It was a time to pursue things of our interest, and we finally had free time to look into those things and, just look within ourselves and, ask, like, why are we doing things that we've been doing? I think it's time to evolve and, grow as individuals. And then also I was growing as a person, I was growing a little human within me. So yeah, the second trimester was amazing. We also got to finally find out the sex of our baby, which helped guide us in her name, and we were able to go shopping and pick out a couple outfits, and put together our baby shower registry. It was amazing. So I'm gonna go ahead and share the video of us finding out our baby's sex now.
Oh, so cool. But anyways, so I'll let you do the honors.
Oh man, it's a big responsibility. I don't know. Maybe we should show the camera how she did it. Wow.
Oh my god! I thought it was a boy! We're gonna have a daughter!
I was not expecting that. Everybody was like, boy. Wow.
We had our baby shower to attend back in our hometown the last week of our second trimester. So we did have to travel back to the Midwest. We were gathered amongst our close friends and families, and we're finally able to feel their excitement radiating off of them. We felt so loved, and we didn't feel lonely anymore. Because being in Tucson, it was very isolating. We didn't have many friends there, so we were really sad to have to pack up and head back to Tucson. So yeah, here are some photos of our friends and family with us at the baby shower. We decided to do something crazy during the first bit of our third trimester. We decided to pack up everything of importance and move back to our hometown for the remainder of the pregnancy and foreseeable future. I decided that I would feel more secure and feel overall more safe and less stressed out if I had labor back in my hometown amongst my friends and family. It was literally insane, I know. We were in our third trimester and having to change midwifery our care teams and a hospital to deliver in. I'll save the labor and birth details for another video like this because that was an experience. It was stressful packing up everything we owned, getting rid of so many things, and having to sell some of our big ticket stuff. But it felt right at the same time. We were able to be home for my husband's birthday. We were there for Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. I was grateful to have that time with family before welcoming our baby. But oh my goodness, my appetite grew so much during this trimester. I ate so much food. It was absolutely ridiculous. And I ended up gaining an extra 20-ish pounds, which I'm definitely regretting now as I am in postpartum, but you know, maybe it's exactly what my body needed to be able to produce breast milk and, you know, be successful in exclusively breastfeeding. So, just crazy. Looking back, it was unnecessarily stressful dealing with all of this during a time where I should have just been focusing on my body and on my mind and preparing myself for labor. I ended up getting back into journaling and working out towards the last month and a half of the pregnancy, which was absolutely crucial for me and my mental health. The third trimester was great, you know. We started going to the gym, like I said, and we were journaling, we were doing meditation, and I was really just trying to manifest the perfect labor and delivery, which ended up not being how I wanted, but I will share that for the next one. I'm going to go ahead and end this video on what my cravings were during my pregnancy because food is so fun to talk about. But my top cravings, hands down, throughout my entire pregnancy, which I didn't really have any aversions, which was awesome, but macaroni and cheese, which is something, like, honestly, I don't eat that much of, so it was just so odd that that was, like, one of my cravings. I just loved it, but I don't eat, like, a lot of, like, dairy and stuff, so I don't know, it was weird. I don't know. But I also would put Cholula hot sauce on everything, and so much of it. I loved it. The flavor was just, oh. Anytime we would go and, like, order out, or, like, order for pickup, I would always just want whatever came in the buffalo style, so I was, like, addicted to buffalo flavored things. Buffalo cauliflower, buffalo chicken, you know. I also was, like, I think I ate this, like, during my entire pregnancy for breakfast, and it was broccoli, black beans, and scrambled eggs. That combo, to me, with a bunch of Cholula hot sauce, amazing. I loved that throughout my pregnancy, which I guess is a good thing. And I loved to like snack on ice, and I needed, if I like, I drank so much water, and I needed like ice cold water throughout my entire pregnancy. And then lastly, like the thing that I would always be hungry for at the end of the day was I wanted like peanut butter toast. Which is just so funny. I mean, peanut butter toast is just so good. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this style of video. If you enjoyed, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your day or evening, whatever time you're watching this. And if you have any questions or any suggestions for future memoirs, please go ahead and comment below. Have a great day, like I said, and we'll see you in the next one.